The broadcast is live, but warning, this camera goes into a AverMedia card that occasionally decides it doesn't want to work. And I have no idea why, because it never did this when it was at the old studio. I thought it had something to do with the USB, and it's been a really hard problem to troubleshoot because it just the video input just goes boink, out, in, out, in. I've swapped all the cables. I've done a lot trying to troubleshoot this particular problem. And every time I think I have it, because it worked for 2 hours without doing it, and I said, great, shut everything down this morning, went to work on other things, start the live stream, turn on all the stuff. Well, actually, just before I started the live button, and it did it twice and then stopped. And I'm like, I don't know the cause. So I'm crossing my fingers that if you see something that says no signal, that's the mystery thing coming back. This is the fun part about building a new studio. Random mystery things. So, so much fun. Yes, this is a new space. Hello from the Northwest. We have here El Paso. So I heard, let me actually get over here so I can see him from here. Oh, this is going to be it. I can make this weird too. This will actually probably give you guys double sound, so I won't do this long. I can do two of me, so makes it interesting. Anyways, so let's go back over here. The main control is actually on this monitor, not that monitor. Well, there's a lot that's I'm gonna show how this is set up. I'm not going to do the full tour right now. I'm going to work on a separate video for the full tour, but kind of get you the idea, though. I'll have a few pictures I'll show to kind of see the new setup. But this is at my house, by the way. That is where I move my space. I don't know. Maybe it's backwards. I know some YouTubers, as they get bigger, they go to a bigger building. And for me, I'm like, no, I just want to have my own creative space by myself here. That way, when I do the creative things, I'm at home and it gives me more time just to be quiet and work on them here. And then going to my office is where I'll still be shooting video there, but that's going to be for the builds and the physical things. Just for a lot of the tutorial stuff, I'm going to do a lot of that from this studio I built here at my house. So let's see. Hello from the Northwest. Hello from Texas. I heard you guys had some snow down there in Texas, so that's interesting. Let's see. Snacks and refreshments. Yes. I know you posted this, Cody, before I turned on the live stream. So cool. I probably got it panned out a little wider than usual. It just looks different. And I'll just hold something up to show you. I'm almost touching the camera. So that kind of gives you an idea how close the camera is. There's a lot of different angles are different now. I don't know that I've got all the lighting tuned exactly right. I haven't really done much. I haven't done any videos here. The live stream is the first video going on YouTube that I've done here. And yeah, so I don't know if I've tuned all it. I still need one more light to bring that's going to go over here as a fill light. Because I have, it's hard to see. You see the glossiness behind me. I've got some of the, missing. Hold on. One of my colors is off. Oh, cool. There we go. That probably looks a little better. So many details, so many details. Sorry, go through the comments here. Oh, it's not snowing there. It's sunny from OZ. Let's see. New York. Paraguay. I don't think I've seen Paraguay on here before. Awesome. Sweden. This camera setup makes you look like you've lost weight. I lost 7 pounds building this. When I get in work mode, I don't eat. So I just like to work. Eating sometimes slows me down. So I eat like a very small amount of food. So I don't know. I'm 7 pounds lighter. I need to get back down to where I want to be. Trippy. Nice echo. Yes, this is in my basement. Let's see. Greetings from Poland. All right. Yes, this is definitely a curve monitor. I'll put together a whole parts list in here. There's a lot of people in here already. All right, let's actually, I put together, I'll start with some photos. I'll talk to the UniFi stuff in a minute. But I'll throw the build project together so I can share that from here. Share screen. Actually, I need to change where I share it from. So if I put that here, too many screens, not enough pre-planning, especially because I'm doing it all myself. I built most of the studio myself. So that's what some of these pictures are going to be as well. So 81 in Florida. It is not 81 in Texas. I've seen people posting about snow in Texas, which is actually pretty strange. The frigid north. There we go. Hello from Texas. I heard it's cold down there. Hey, it came back. The stupid little no signal thing. I have no idea what causes that. That is a mystery right now. Actually, I'm going to try something because I'm guessing that this might have something to do with it. I'm going to just guess and see if that fixes it. So, complete guess on that one. Wall panels, let me throw my kit link in here. I have almost every part I used in here already built out in a kit because I knew people would ask about what they are. So I have an entire studio kit. Everything is really 99% of it's from my old studio. So there's only a couple things like those panels, but they're listed in this kit. So I'll throw the kit link in here. It's on the bottom of all of my things. It's a kit link where you can assemble kits for all the stuff. It's easier to do links because Amazon can be confusing. If you type in hexagon wall panels, you'll find these, but you may not find the same one. So I made links to all the ones that I have. So those are all in there, David. So, all right, let me go ahead and turn off my phones. I heard it ringing. Don't need that noise. All right. What else do we have? Make sure none of this is important. Nope, just a bunch of junk. All right. Now we can share out the studio build project. Share screen, Chrome tab. Someone will hate the fact that it's in Google Photos. That's all right too. I don't know if the sound comes through on this. I have no idea. But this is the egress window, and this is how we threw all the boards in. So this is literally how the studio started. Well, I mean, there's some painting photos. This is stained cement, in case you're wondering. It's actually not paint. It's a stain that goes over the cement before we put stuff over it for some of the way we wanted to do it. Then me and Steve framed a lot of it in. My basement was just a big disastrous mess. That's how most of it looked before when we started here. Pretty much like everything was all just built by hand in here. This is not, I only contracted like the mudding of we hung the drywall, but the mudding of the drywall itself was stuff that I went and did myself. So we're hung all the drywall, but yeah, this is what the build looked like. Me vacuuming up to try and keep the dust to a minimum. I did all the electrical, did all the lights, did all the stuff. Like I said, I'll break it down to a video. This rack has extra cable on it because it was on this side of the furnace and we knew we were moving it. So we still haven't done all the cabling cleanup. That's the other reason I'm waiting to do a video until we finish that. Cool little electrical, the lights I used. I'll put together like a build list. Some people might be interested in some of the lighting and stuff, but most of the stuff just came from Amazon. It's actually pretty cheap. Well, these you can buy at your local Home Depot or Lowe's. So The vents I had to paint. The ceiling and everything I have here is completely black. This is the ceiling tiles. They're actually a special, what they call high NRC tile that helps with all the sound deadening in here. Hopefully the audio sounds good. I think I got that part figured out. There's what the ceiling looked like. That's the IKEA desk, so nothing really special there. Other view of it. There's no computer in here either. This is something that a few people ask me, what about the networking drops? There are 0 networking drops. There's still wall plates, but they're all USB because the computers are all on the other side of this wall. So that makes them, it's everything I put, even the HDMI, I put in HDMI in the wall plates. So all the wall plates are either HDMI or USB. The only exception is because they don't make a wall jack that I know of for DisplayPort. So the DisplayPort, I had to custom cut something for the DisplayPort. But other than that, everything else go through under this desk that's in front of me here. It's just all USB plugs, and it makes it so clean because there's no computer in here to worry about or anything like that. Makes for a really nice build. Everything's controlled by the HomeKit. Home Assistant and a custom-made Raspberry Pi box. So that's what it looks like in transition before we started hanging everything up. And these are more recent pictures of what it looks like. This is like right before the live stream started, what it looks like. So it's a lot to get all this built and assembled. I got a giant beanbag in here too. And I haven't put any curtains around this window yet. So there's that. Then the screens, yes, that's what the monitor looks like. It's a big ultra wide screen. So it's coming along pretty good here. This is still not the final of what it's going to be. This is just where it's at now. This is when I'm looking this way, this is what I see. 2 lights, camera, there's a TV behind it. That's how I know what's on the screen. And yeah, then that's about it. There's not much else to see. That's just like the view from behind the TV. These are the computers that are behind the wall. This is the studio stream computer that all the cameras connect to. It has 4 inputs, 3 in use right now. The 4th one is for different things on my desk, so I have an output for that. Then they all feed into, these are HDMI wall plate. See all the HDMIs in there? So that's why it's so clean looking. The same thing over here. There's all the USBs for the USB wall plate down there. I have not cleaned up the wiring on this. It makes me think of the Homer Simpson meme, where everything's just kind of a messing behind the back. So yeah, this, and this right here, this rubber backing, this is fully loaded vinyl, and that's part of all the noise reduction for all of this. Then I have little flaps that are going back on over this once I have them all installed. That'll be for any type of protrusion of sound. But right now, the sound deadening in here is crazy because when you come in here, you notice it. It's like you hit and hear the sound stage where everything is just quiet. It's kind of cool. And when you walk in here, I mean, that Synology, I've reviewed that Synology. That's mine. It's loud. It makes a lot of noise. And I cannot tell you if it's on or not. And it's only 2 feet away from this wall. The sound deadening works really, really well for all this, which is a huge factor. Now, at the same time, this is the other side of my basement that we're finishing. This is just another living space we have. So, and these are the doors that are on everything. They're like the sliding doors, the barn doors. And then you can see the server through the barn door. This is going to be my utility room, and that's actually my office is this door right here. I think that's it. That's all I got. So, yeah, it's a lot to build all this. So there's definitely to sound good. To me, that's at least one thing. I can't figure out this random video problem that makes no sense to me, but the sound is good. So we got that going for us, which is nice. RGB spotlights. Yes, they're in the kit list as well. Why change the studio from the office to your home? It's really just because I wanted a quiet space because the creative side of me needs to be uninterrupted, and it's really hard. I mean, you can tell people don't interrupt me, but I'm also very easily distracted. So if I'm here and not at the office, I can't just go interact with people. I almost like, you ever seen that? I've always liked that picture where someone has a shirt that says, "Do not interrupt this person. They will not stop talking for the next 20 minutes." Definitely me. I wanted to be somewhere that is easy for me to do my creative thing. I want to do a lot more live streams. Some of those live streams I want to do is, I'm even thinking about getting into doing Twitch and some other stuff. I wanted to do it all. Haha, no signal. Like I said, that stupid problem. But I wanted to start doing them even later into the evening. And I love the, interactive audience stuff. At some point, I don't want to do it late at night and then have to drive home. So when I'm here, I can focus when I'm here. When I go to work, I work on work projects, and then coming back here is easy. Then this is where I do all the creative things. Work is where I do the work things. So that's kind of my reason for separating it. And it's really convenient to be able to just walk down to my basement because I can work from home. So sometimes I don't need to ever go to the office. I can just have all my meetings here, do all my things here. My son schools remotely. So like having the kids come over and things like that. It's a lot of conveniences. It's not just work from home. It's like have all my space here. What's the lighting under the mouse and keyboard? It is a LUXC OMS Luxcoms. They sell them on Amazon. My employees bought them, and I liked it. I said, I'll take one of those, and so I got one. I don't know much about it, so yeah, separate office from studio. Essentially what it is. So I still have my building, and that's where all my employees that like coming in, and some of my staff, more than half my staff works remote too. So some of the employees work remotely. Some of them are contractors, so they don't ever come in there. And then we contract some people that are out of state, so they've never been to the office. And then we have, the few employees that do come to the office and projects. The other thing we needed to do was make more room for more project space. We have so many big projects coming through that the studio, big part of it's going to be for when we set up projects. But that's actually going to be nice because that's going to be a better opportunity to film those projects. So when I come into the office, if they're building a project in what was the studio space, it's still partially set up so I can bring cameras there, film to talk about the projects, and then I don't have to get everything out of my way to film other things. I can just come back here. So the signal loss was saying loss of security. Could be a bad cable. I don't know. That's what's weird. It does it so randomly. And I don't have the HDCP turned on, so it shouldn't be a security issue. I don't know. It just drops. So it's really kind of weird. Yeah, I guess Ultimate Man Cave, it's more just, to me, it's just about creative space. I'm going to title it more of that because I'm going to say that's better description of what it is just my creative space where I need to focus when I do these things. And I haven't done as many longer form tutorials. So doing longer form tutorials is going to require me to concentrate. And a lot of people said, "Hey, Tom, where's your new PF Sense or your in-depth TrueNAS video? Or what about an updated video on Zabbix?" I'd love to do an updated video on Zabbix. That takes a lot of hours to put together the tutorial of it. So that's going to start happening here when I have like some continuous uninterrupted, turn off all the distractions and no one else is here, work for 5 hours straight until I get my Zabbix video done. So that's the other reason I'm doing this too. Summer in Australia, 40 degrees, sea, yeah. That's right. You're on the other side of the planet over there. So way different weather. Now I brought up the UniFi. Is there any other studio questions? I mean, I'm always willing to entertain any questions at all. I also have the cool drawers over here. My drunk drawer is no longer behind me. My drunk drawer is all right here. So if I need anything, what kind of random things I got to throw away most of the stuff in here. Oh, Yubikeys. Yeah, this is on my to-do list as well. I want to do a Yubikey video. There's a lot that goes into these things. And there we go. There's a lot that goes into these. So that's going to happen soon. I got a few of them. We've been using them a lot. So I set them up for a lot of my staff to use. So there's going to be a Yubikey video coming soon. Hot sauce wall for the studio. You know, my fridge upstairs has a lot of hot sauces in it because I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to build a wall for them because I have that at the office. So I'm going to leave the firewall, as we call it, at the office. So we'll leave the firewall at the office and figure the other part out. Yes. No, that's actually, see, this is the one thing. I'm not bringing any of the servers here for review. The servers are all going to stay at the office. So when I'm just going to bring cameras, film the servers, come back here, film the narrative for the review, and any of the testing will be done because I can VPN back in. So I'll still do the servers and all that. We have our lab racks. Actually, we have 2 big lab racks full of equipment. So I'll come there and film the review and then bring it here for all the editing work. The editing's the part I need to concentrate on. I mean, setting it all up and playing with the servers, that's easy. Pop it on a camera, show you that, create what we refer to in the editing world as B-roll. So a bunch of B-roll, and then I create the narrative. That's actually how I was doing it before. You'd see me cut to all those scenes. Those are all just all the pre-recorded scenes that I have. So yeah, that's that type of editing, that type of video is still all going to be done. Matter of fact, it's going to be done more because we have a couple of big projects we're assembling. So I'll do the video for the projects at the office and then bring it back here for the editing side of it, which is going to be nice. I'm really looking forward to that. So long-term thoughts on using a single ultra-wide, so I went from the 3X. I had the 3 displays for years, loved it. Once you go 3, you can't have less number of pixels across there. Yeah, it just says no signal. It's not a security error. Anyways, the ultra wide, once you go to it, it's great. I absolutely, matter of fact, after I got mine, one of my staff has one now too. Another one's thinking about getting them. I bought one for them because of the work they do at the office. They love it. So I really like it. The only problem, and it's not a problem most people will have, is I have this extra screen that's a 1080 screen. I have to have that to make recording easier when I do demos because I can't do a demo on an ultra wide and expect people to look at it on YouTube. YouTube is going to have the 16:9 resolution. So I like having this extra screen here. So I'm going to say ultra wide for 99% of my work, but having one extra screen. Actually, I usually use this extra screen for throwing notifications up. Hugely big fan of it for sure. Yes, all Yubikeys are not created equal. There are a few different models. New studio, 10G backend. Yes, no, there's only one 10 gig switch because my TrueNAS, sorry, I keep calling it FreeNAS. My TrueNAS server is connected at 10 gig and my desktop is connected at 10 gig to my TrueNAS. That's it. So there are 2 10 gig devices here and there's probably not going to be any more because I don't need them. So yes, it is 10 gig. We have not deployed a bunch of Wi-Fi 6 UniFi, mostly because of lack of availability. So I don't think we've done any large deployments with them because we just, like, when people wanted to buy them, it's like, yeah, there's not enough for the quantity for the big jobs. So some of the big jobs, the customer decided to go with just a different model. I don't remember what model they went with on one of the more recent ones. But the parts supply is still a big challenge because I don't know. It is what it is. I don't know what else to do about it. So, matter of fact, someone had pointed out in another business forum that Meraki's got some of the parts on Meraki are 6 months out as well. that's 5 and 6 months. So I've been hearing for not just some UniFi, but even some of the Meraki stuff. So it's a supply chain problem. So eventually, yes. Post-production, yes. Oh, there's so much work in post-production. It's not just the video. It's all the stuff that goes after the video, for sure. HyperFido. I've not tried HyperFido. I saw check the cables securely connected and misread it. Oh, okay. Yeah, dude, I've even moved where the card is. It went for 2 hours the other day of testing while I stuck up some of these tiles and never dropped. And I thought I solved the problem because all I did was moving another USB cable. For whatever reason, I can't make it happen when there's nothing plugged into the USB. That's been my real puzzle. Nothing plugged in USB. I never get the no signal layer. Plug something in USB. It may do it. It may not. I don't know. On to my mystery. It's only, I don't want to, it's an expensive card and it's not that old. And I don't think it's bad, but it does that. I know it's not the camera because the camera feeds a field monitor. The field monitor never drops. So, and I even bypassed the field monitor to think if it was causing part of the problems. I don't know. 9 months out for the Meraki MX75 models. Yeah. It is, yes. Hate doing remote support on customer machines that have ultra-wide screens. Yes, that is true. If you don't have an ultra-wide and your customer does, that's an issue. And eventually I think we're going to have to end up moving towards more ultra-wides at the office because of how much remote support and how many more customers are going to be having these. So how are you using Yubikey as a security device? I guess I needed more in-depth question. I'll do a review of it. So they're for two-factor authentication. Yes. I guess that's probably a better description there. So yeah, the Yubikeys are really cool. The word is out. UniFi disappointment machine. So this is UniFi. The word is out. UniFi disappointment machine. So the problem is, and this comes down to the UniFi Dream Machine. I don't know why, but for some reason, when UniFi released the new one, which, well, let's pull it up. I think it is the, so we're talking about the same thing. So which is it? The Dream Machine SE, right? Let me make sure I get the right one. So UniFi Dream Machine SE. So we'll pull it up and talk about it. So we're all on the same page. Currently sold out. There we go. So now we'll put this up on the screen. So the problem with the UniFi Dream Machine, and it's the thing I run into all the time, and this is from the consulting. When we're doing consulting on these things, the problem is people buy them and then go, it won't do all the things they want. And then they contact us and they get angry because they bought it. And I'm like, look, I made videos telling people not to buy this thing. Like, unless you have the right use case. And and some people don't like the video saying, oh, you're just crapping on the product. I'm like, no, I'm not. I said it works fine as a router. It's better than what you can probably buy at your big box store. It's better than some of the, whatever the cable companies or internet providers are providing, but that's where it stops. It's better than that, but not as good. And it's almost always when people want advanced use cases. And we even had someone where this one's on them because they follow my channel. They watch my video, want all the features I talked about with policy routing and a PF Sense video, but bought the Dream Machine. And then they're trying to figure out what to do with it. I'm like, I don't know what to do with it. Like you bought it but they thought the special edition, the Dream Machine SE, would have all the features because my video only covers, not the Dream Machine SE, but the previous models. So as if the new SE model has all the features that are missing. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It's still got the same problems as the other ones. It's there. I don't know why UniFi doesn't do things a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like they could put resources into it. They have great switches. They have great access points. They're I don't know what's up with their switching, with their routing devices. It's never that great. So yeah, they didn't. I mean, cool. They added a couple other things like, oh, cool. We've added this. We've added some 2.5 gig ports. But you didn't fix almost always it's like the VPN is one of the first things people ask about. So, and I'm like, yeah, sorry, OpenVPN doesn't work like that. What do you mean it doesn't work? It's 2022 and they still have it. They released a new model and it still doesn't have, nice user OpenVPN support. I'm like, yeah. So nonetheless, that's it. What do I recommend? PF Sense usually, specifically what hardware. I mean, look, you can go do some sizing. Look at the SG 6100. It's a great device. And if you're going to go with something that's not one of the Netgate devices, I've talked about the Protect Tele hardware boxes. There's plenty you can use on there. It doesn't take much. You can route with a pretty low-end processor. Look at the processor that's in the 5100 and 6100 and find some hardware that's at least equivalent to that if you don't want to buy that device. We always buy the Netgate devices. Delusion machine. You want to know the benefits of using a hardware Yubikey. So the big difference when you use a Yubikey is going to be with the Yubikey. When you get to using like a Yubikey, the touch ones we have are nice because you have a physical hardware token. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the TOTP authentication that I have on my phone. That works great. So, I've got, I think I've mentioned before, I use Aegis, AEGIS. It's an Android app. It's open source. And it allows me to have my different rolling numbers in here. Let me find one that won't matter if I share with you. Oh, this account's been deleted. So I think I still have it in here. Yep, this account's deleted. I had to delete it. So this number doesn't work anymore. But there you go. You can see this number. It's for my old Wasabi account. Now, typing this number, I feel like I'm just complaining about a first world problem. I had to read 6 digits off my phone to log into something. But it gets tedious when you start doing it many times per day. The nice thing with the Yubikey, and you get the Yubikey Touch ones, which that's what this is right here. All I have to do is touch the Yubikey. So you put your finger on you put it in your USB, you put it in there, and away you go. Now you just touch it, and it authenticates. So you're at the point where you want to authenticate with a lot of different services to support it. You touch it, it authenticates. It's kind of a convenience. And then when you're done, you can just pull this out, keep it with you. They're very durable. They work really well. So the Yubikey becomes just a convenience over standard TOTP authentication. So the other options are you can set these up, the Yubikeys, with NFC. So you touch them to your phone so it has all the authentication numbers in it. I'll talk about that when I do my review of them. Not a use case that I would really use, though. I think it's novel to be able to do it that way because then that information is not in your phone or it's not in your computer. It's in the Yubikey. So there's some cool use cases for that. But I like the touch authentication and some of the things you can integrate with it. I have not done, but I'm pretty sure you can do this on Linux. So you can set this up as your boot. So I have all my drives encrypted with a password, and I'm pretty sure in Ubuntu, you can actually have it set as your boot. So you pop this in, hit the touch it, it boots up the computer, then you can unplug it and it can lock. Saves you from typing in a password on the computer each time. But yeah, I'll talk about it from a real world. What can you use these for? Not that, hey, everyone should use two-factor. I think we beat that horse to death. Not sure why you're asking for a video. You don't do DDoS protection with pfSense. That is something your upstream provider helps you with, and it's not necessarily pfSense. That question comes up quite a bit. Maybe I should make a video titled that, just to say that you don't do it that way. UniFi can't do routing. MakerChip can't do wireless. These are facts. We'll go with that. Oh, okay. I've had Yubikeys. 502 doesn't support that. Yeah. 6100s are nice. We've been selling those. Recommendations for routers that can handle 5 gig for their SG 61. And I think they dropped the SG. It's just the Netgate 6100. I don't think there's SG in the name anymore. So that should handle 5 gig residential internet. Is there that many places offering? And do they give you all that bandwidth? I've seen people tell me that they've had some of them, but do they have the bandwidth to actually do it? Like, hey, cool, we give you 5 gig, and there's some small detail, like in small bursts, limited to blah, 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 some, prerequisites. I don't know. We don't have that as an option here. We have 1 gig here, but it's never quite 1 gig. We'll just say that. I've never seen it. It's close, but yeah. You don't always have your, I always have my phone, so I can't say that. I do. I have one of those touch ones. Sadly, it cannot be used as 2FA for Bitwarden. Yes, it can. You can use these for 2FA for Bitwarden. Or at least this one you can. This is the Yubikey 5 NFC. I have it set up for Bitwarden. That's how I know. Oh, we use the enterprise account, so maybe that's why we use it that way. So I never look for quiet boxes, so I have no idea. I don't do. I've had a few people ask me about this. I mean, you can swap out some fans in them, but I've never taken the time to really look for a quiet box. It's not one of the criteria I'm usually looking for. But I mean, if you build it yourself, then you can make it quiet. That's probably the best idea I got on that, because I don't know. I mean, if you buy a lot of the super micro ones, quiet's usually not their optimization. If you can find one, and if you look for like some of the solid passively cooled systems, is going to be really what you're aiming for if you want something that's going to be quiet. Do you think the whole TPM chip will do away with a lot of the BS, or create more BS? We're already seeing fake. I think the new, I don't put, I mean, TPM seems like a fleeting thing to me. Like, cool, we're trying to solve a problem. But that's not, I mean, yes, it does solve a problem. It's better than not having it, but it doesn't solve most of the security problems and most of the attacks. TPM can help with the, hey, someone took my laptop and woo, good thing I got a TPM and a password for that. Oh, by the way, if you're really worried, we've found, there's been certain levels of TPM bypasses and things like that. So one of the reasons, even with my Linux, I like using Lux encryption, because it's password-based encryption with Lux, which is well vetted, well tested, doesn't rely on hardware. So if they find a flaw in the implementation, which has happened a few times with different TPM vendors, I I'm not thinking it's got the longest term. I think there's better ways to solve it. And once you stamp something in hardware, yeah, that's hardware, and that's it suddenly, like, I can't remember, it was a few years ago. They found out that the company didn't have the proper randomization. Steve Gibson did a deep dive on it, but there was a whole series of hardware that was out in the field that you could almost predict the way to bypass it. And there's been a couple of them where it turns out you could bypass it because of a flawed implementation. So I don't know. Software can be updated, hardware cannot. TPM is what it is. It's better to have it than not. I understand the problems it does solve, but I don't think it's the end all solution. It's just one more piece in the security layer. UDM Pro is always just a compromise of having a flashy looking stack device in a stack. Yes, or a device that gives you really bad information, as my friend was messaging me last night. It found a mystery device that wouldn't leave the controller until he rebooted it. It was kind of interesting. It kept saying it was using gigs. It had a MAC address. It didn't have it. He's a smart tech guy, so I trusted him. I didn't check his network, but he told me, he was asking if I'd ever seen it anymore. And we just found a ghost MAC address from something he had months and months ago that the UDM kept accumulating data to, but it hadn't been physically on his network in a long time. Rebooted the UDM and it went away. Plan to do anything with passwordless technology? I've not been, none of it has wowed me to make me go, wow. Well, I mean, wowed me is probably even, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that made me go, that's the future when I see it. Oddly, when I'm using, though, StreamYard allows for passwordlessness. StreamYard doesn't have a username and password. It sends you magic links, they call it. So the StreamYard's passwordless. You set up your account, but there's no password to it. It always emails me a link, and that's what allows me to use StreamYard. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I haven't had a problem with it, but obviously if someone intercepted the link because there's no username and password for my StreamYard account, they instantly gain access to everything StreamYard has access to. Now, once you click the link goes dead. The link can't be used twice. They're single-use links. So I get how they implemented it, but I don't know. Not sure on that. Sounds like a bit like the old hardware to install PC. Oh yeah, the AutoCAD ones. There's still a few things that do hardware dongles for security. Small MSP looking to deploy OpenSense or pfSense devices, but some of my clients are asking for Juniper or Cisco's. How do I convince them pfSense is a better purchase? Sometimes you can't. It depends on the client. I don't have an easy answer. If someone has it in their head they want something, then sometimes you sell them what they want. I mean, the price difference is not it's not even small, it's dramatic. So if you have a client that's that kind of budget, but really it comes down to features. There are still some filtering things you might get with a Juniper you're not going to get with a pfSense. Is that what they need? Do they need those features? Sometimes a sales pitch, if someone has it in their head they have to have a certain device, is what it is. You don't fight them. What do I think of Zyxel? I should do a video. I did a video ranting about QNAP, and I should do one ranting about Zyxel so I can just reply. Here's all the backdoors I keep finding in Zyxel. Is there any questions? Because they're a company that, decided to put backdoors in as a way to do things and then got caught because no one ever discovers the backdoor passwords you put in systems, right? Yeah, I don't care for Zyxel because of that. Poor security. AT&T offering anything, you have to deal with AT&T. They are a terrible place. They offer 5G fiber here, but don't want to lose access to the regional gateway bypass upgrade to do it. Yeah, there's some of them. I've had people at least comment on there that you get the high-end fiber from some of these places, but you're behind CGNAT. So that's like their trade-off for it. AT&T gig fiber. Interesting. They're not offering it here, so. Being offered 10 gig there. That's crazy. Up in Canada, they got 10 gig. Ah, yes. Some places are the opposite. They're becoming the bandwidth impaired. You have to, if you're self-hosting Bitwarden, you have to go in and configure Bitwarden there's like an activation system if you're doing the self-hosted you got to go through to get Bitwardens working. Tried the Heidi's keys. Never heard of them. General progression of the UDMP feature toward improved functionality is single pane of glass management. I don't know. The single pane of glass, but if that pane of glass is muddied with bad stats, it doesn't matter. That's kind of how I feel about it. So, do you recommend hardware with QAT? I don't have an opinion on that right now. Let's see. Hey, awesome. Glad I could help you out, Chris. That's good to hear. Moving to my own place soon. The new ISP set up via PPOE rather than DHCP. Ever work at that? We hardly run into PPOE here in the US. It's just not used very frequently. I run into it very infrequently, so I haven't done a lot with it. There's ways to make it work with pfSense. I'm not an expert on it. I just never run into it. It got stuck for 3 days. Let's see. Oh, passwordless workstation for login with Yubikey technology. Well, I don't like that at all. And let me tell you why. This is small. I could lose it. I could also have someone, I think it's lost, but someone has wandered off with it. The thought that they could go in and log into my computer with just this is a terrible thought to me, especially if I'm using it to unlock my laptop and then not having a password to actually get into my laptop in addition to this. That's scary too, because now if I'm somewhere and my laptop gets stolen, oh no. But if my laptop gets stolen and I swipe my Yubikey and this allows them to log in, very much oh no. Because shoulder surfing my password, then stealing my laptop and the Yubikey all at once, I've raised the bar at least a little bit. Because I have a really long password combination letters and stuff. So shoulder surfing, not saying it's impossible, but I'm not making it easy. And then top that off with a login with something like this, I've really locked things down a lot more that way. So no, I don't like the idea of passwordless with just that. Yeah, UDM has potential, but not interested. You're right. They're not interested. You're not wrong about that. Does IDS IPS exist on layer 2 switches? So if I'm not mistaken, there's certain model. I'm not a Cisco person, but I think Cisco makes a couple that can do that with certain switching. That's usually not where you do it, though. Uh, 1040 switch is not Cisco. Look at the MikroTiks. Some people, if you're willing to take the learning curve of a MikroTik, some people are really happy once they've learned that. So once they've learned the MikroTik weird way they implement things, the best way I could describe it. So For computer stores, all IPsec routed together. I use my own server included for internal DNS routing. Is it possible to load the file from a central SSH server? I don't understand. For computer stores, I use my own server include file for internal DNS. I don't know what that has to do with your SSH server. Oh, not CGNat, just stuck with their equipment. Fair enough. I got to get catch up on the comments here. PPU and PFSense work. So if someone says it does work, use it. Awesome. Power line, Ethernet more secure than Wi-Fi. I don't know how far outside your house it reaches. So I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Like, I don't think it would go outside the house, but I've never truly dug into the electronics of it. But I think it's pretty cool because I know I've seen some newer ones come out, and they're kind of a great solution when there's just no way to cable, or if you're in an apartment, and you can't modify it, like you're renting the place where you live, and there's no modifications to be made to the walls. So yeah, I would say statistically more likely plugging Powerline Ethernet is going to be more secure than Wi-Fi, simply because it's like, if you use a weak Wi-Fi password, that easily goes through your neighbor's wall. The likelihood is someone has the matching Ethernet device, the power over Ethernet device to plug in, and is able to get that data and tap into it. Seems unlikely. Statistically, I think you're going with better than Wi-Fi. You have to watch your fingers all the time. I talk with my fingers. The one language I thought about learning was learning sign language, because then I'd know what to do with my hands when I talk. Like that, it's like, that seems like a great idea, because one, it could help someone. I could communicate with more, as the people who may only be able to, if they're deaf and can't hear. And then it'd be cool. I know what to do with my hands when I'm talking. Similar issue after a month debugging, figured out it was static electricity that kept shorting the USB from recording connections. I unplugged my Stream Deck and it stopped. I reached under my desk, unplugged the Stream Deck, and I've only seen it happen once since I unplugged it. And I'm 53 minutes in, and it only happened a few times at the beginning. It is so hard to figure out, and I'm puzzled. But yes, maybe static electricity. We can go with that. Have you ever worked on a project with wireless radios? Just Wi-Fi, not specific. I guess you have to be more specific about what wireless radios. Hey, thank you for the compliment on the studio. I can actually change the colors. These tiles are white, but they're being color splashed with things. But yeah, I can actually do, and I can also the strip behind me can be, I can change colors on that. That's all done in there. So thank you, though. Most of the stuff in here is actually a gray. That way I can change the colors as I want. I have white tiles and gray tiles, and then everything else is RGB. That allows me to be more dynamic with the colors. I have no recommendations for travel routers. I never use routers when I travel. I use my laptop. So I see this is a common, maybe it's because I don't travel enough. Maybe if I traveled more, I'd care, but I travel and I just use the Wi-Fi at the hotel or wherever it is I'm staying. And I never think about travel routers. So not something I have a lot of thoughts on. You mean you never climbed the electrical pole to jack power line Ethernet signal? I'm telling you, this is a hack that could happen. It could be fun. Oh, 200 meg in Moscow, except blocked or throttle at the border. Yeah. That's interesting too. Do power over wire things. I want to test that. That would be interesting. And pfSense, you can load your own DNS file in General DNS Resolver. It allows me to point to any PC server. Well, yeah, but I don't understand. So that what has to do with SSH? Your question earlier. What else? You will need transceiver on both ends. It sends the power issues if the wires are on different circuits. Believe I know there was something like that. There were some limitations. Maybe your camera loss issue is ground loop. They're plugged into the same ground, but yes, maybe. I've got everything on ice. I actually have a what do you call it? I got an isolation system and power conditioner and a UPS. And I plugged it into different places, just guessing my way through all this too. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Chinese manufactured hardware and zero-day backdoors? There's no doubt that you have to really think about, just in general, companies that in the potential to put backdoors in things. I think we are going to see a bigger push for more open source hardware, more transparency in supply chain. And it's not just China's a narrow thing, and we're saying China because that's where a lot of things are manufactured. But obviously, it's a concern in the big picture for any company for putting any of these backdoors in a lot of these devices. Majority of the time, software is way, way easier than hardware backdoors. So there's someone had a good write-up on installing backdoors in these specialized SFP cards. I found that on Reddit. I thought it was really clever. They're obviously made to have extra functionality, but could be used for other things. It's something to keep in mind. It's something to be aware of. And one of the reasons I'm excited to see more companies looking at things like more open hardware. So we have a clear and better transparency into how these things were built. Yes, definitely Home Assistant. David me agreed. Laptop VPN, no router needed. That's how I feel. That laptop and VPN makes me happy. I don't know what I need a travel router for. Maybe if you were what do you call it? Yeah, trying to set up some Wi-Fi network in your hotel. I guess you'd need a travel router. Maybe I just understand a use case for it. I just watch everything on my laptop when I travel. I never turn the TV on if I go to a hotel. Just don't care. So I seen people, you're not the first person to ask about this. Unfortunately, it happened in the middle of my studio build. And I don't want to just do a reaction video, but I may watch that video and talk about data loss as related to Linus and what he did wrong, what he could have done better. Make it an educational video. I more than one person has asked me about this, and I think it's valid concern. My guess is he just did a bunch of things. The best way I've heard Linus referred to is cowboy IT. Yeehaw! We're just going to go ahead and throw a bunch of stuff together and not run it in a more professional manner. Most of the time there's ways to mitigate it. So maybe I can turn it into a learning opportunity of Linus and his data loss, but I've been thinking about it. So I appreciate you bringing it up. I'm glad to know there's more people interested in it. Have you always used autofocus? It seems like it's darker in its area. Camera hunts focus sometimes, maybe causing USB adapter drop. So we can try that. But I don't think it's the camera dropping because I'm all the way back here and it's still focusing. We can even do this. And yeah. And the camera is on its own circuit and the camera is not losing signal. So the camera loops into, there's a monitor that you can't see right here. They call it a field monitor. So I always know the signal and it's how I color correct my camera and get the settings right. it's only dropping at the card and not dropping here. And the other camera, I got more than one camera feed. Only one of the camera feeds drops. So that's part of the puzzle. Don't usually use Fortinet. Some people really like them. They've gotten better. They had some egregious problems in the past that they've corrected. I have not done a performance test on TrueNAS scale, so I have no answer for that. Rack-mounted switches, UniFi. There you go. I don't know why I was pausing on it. It's in the title. How often do you find IDS IPS useful in home lab versus enterprise, and why is that the case? Because it's just full of false positives. If you don't have anyone actively maintaining it, then you're probably not going to get much use out of it. And most things are encrypted. So unless you have some inbound things you're scanning, and even with the enterprise use case, you got to have, if you want good, you want a whole security team on top of it, managing the SIM and everything else. So Next DNS, haven't used it. No thoughts on it. Yes, studio video coming soon. The FS switch is great. I am uncertain on how good the software is on the FS switches. Maybe one day I'll test them. So I have not. There's a few people asked about them. Patrick from what do you call it? Patrick from Serve the Home has done some videos on the FS switches. He even pointed out the quirkiness of the software on there and some of the typos that were in the UI. So take it for what it's worth. So what about a laptop with a ZTNA client? I've talked about zero tier and some of the other overlay networks, but I guess I need more context for that. Laptops with VPN, things not overcomplicated. That's what I use. But overlay networks like zero tier, Tailscale, Nebula, I've done reviews on all of them. Those are all good choices. You miss a nice stand. I don't know if I'm going to vest mount this. For now, it is on a stand. I don't know if that's what you're getting at or not. Testing Ubiquiti Wi-Fi 6 Lite versus Pro. I haven't really done much testing with them. I hate Wi-Fi testing. We started doing a couple tests in the office. They've never made a video about it. I should make a video how hard it is to test Wi-Fi, because each person's phone at the same distance has a different speed on them. And when we swap to different models, some phones got faster on some models and vice versa. So yeah, I got nothing. Linus drop tips. Yes. I don't know. I'm not really in the website hosting business. I don't have much for recommendations on website hosting. Some of our stuff is hosted with A2 hosting. They seem nice. They seem like nice people. From Linus Vid. Now, this is actually funny. I have not watched the video, but this is actually funny because doesn't he do commercials and ad reads for some monitoring software? And he brags about, I can get alerts on my phone for things. Apparently not. I mean, he could, but he didn't. So he just, yes. I watched your QNAP video and totally agree. However, the cheap hardware is very tempting. Your opinion on replacing QNAP. I've heard you can reload QNAP with something else. Never tried. No idea. I mean, I enough people have said you can that I believe you can, but I don't know. Obviously, if you do put something else on there, that would solve the security problems. But I don't know how hard that is. I don't have an answer on that. I don't use Blue Iris. it runs on Windows. To me, that's like if it didn't run on Windows, it might be cool. I've seen people build really cool automation stuff with it, but it's like a hobbyist project. It's not something I would use commercially. I think it's a great hobby project. How's that? I think it's awesome for people who want to build home lab and go. It's got lots of stuff you can do in it, so you can do automation tie-ins and things like that. So I think it's got cool features, but I wouldn't use it. Fortinet 40 Manager is nice for managing firewalls at scale. Yeah, they've got an entire 40 Manager system, so. It's, and Grayson points out he doesn't have any, but you can use it for learning, yes. Have you checked out Surveillance Station 9 yet? I don't think it's available yet. I imagine it's in beta, so no. Yeah, LTT admitted pretty freely data loss because they never had dedicated there. Yeah. Oh, there's always a Microsoft outage. We were joking. I think we were down to only 340 something days by the end of 2021. So yeah. Wi-Fi testing is massively subjective. Yep. You need a Faraday cage to test Wi-Fi properly. That's the thing you're looking for. Faraday cage. So yes, new digs. Pulseway. That's the one that Linus advertised all the time. I don't think Pulseway monitors your VDEPs. But I imagine you could, I don't know Pulseway, but most of the stuff can monitor via SNMP, and you can turn on SNMP in TrueNAS. There's ways to do it. Matter of fact, you could just turn on email alerts when you have failing drives, but sometimes you don't, because I don't know. Is using Quad 9 better than my ISP DNS? I don't even have to ask who your ISP is to say, yes, use Quad 9. Quad 9's great. Linus said he used CentOS for the original setup. I thought he was using TrueNAS, but I didn't look, like I said, so. What camera system do you use? We use a lot of Synology for camera systems. I'm really happy with the Synology stuff. Daily Driver, Pop OS. Been using it for years. It hasn't let me down. It just works. It makes me happy. I like it a lot. Should I be using the Merlin or stock ASUS software on my router? I don't know. I haven't touched those in 5 or 6 years. I can't really say whether or not they yeah. The easiest way to compare Wi-Fi is comparing the specs of antenna power capabilities and users can handle. That is actually a very inaccurate way to do it, because the specs on some of these are the same. The performance out in the field is dramatically different despite having similar specs. Someone pointed out that Meraki can't do Wi-Fi. We've replaced a Meraki system, and the customer had better luck with the UniFi overall. And the Meraki technically had more antennas in it. So spec-wise, the Meraki beat it in terms of the paper, but we had less issues and a happier user base with the UniFi. So I don't know. I don't even think that's the best way to compare them. Yeah, I'm thrilled with my Synology system. Like, it works really well. Let's pull it up. Who's on my porch? Anyone? Look, snow. More snow. I get to go snowblow again. It works. I'm happy with it. Like it's there's my backyard. Oh, look at all these icicles forming now. It's snowing here in Michigan. There's a lot of snow. It's yep. It looks like black and white. These cameras, I assure you the cameras are in color. This one's in color. But everything looks black and white. I'd have to go back till, let's see, where can we go back here to the smart laps? Let's see, play. See, they actually are in color. This is a time lapse one of all the, this is a time lapse of it snowing. So you can see how it, more and more snow. And a windstorm, so all the leaves and branches. Yeah, these are kind of fun. I like all the time lapse features it has, but yeah, Synology is pretty cool. Where should I put my Wise cams? Put my Wise cams on a guest network? Sure, I would definitely do that. What's your audience share per country? Hey, that's a good question. The audience share per country is 50. Well, no, 40. Last time I looked, and I can look again. I'll just pull it up. The analytics tells me audience as of this moment, right now. Where's that at? Scroll somewhere. 38%. 38% American, 5% Canadian. Hi, Cody. 5% United Kingdom, 4.8% Germany, 3% Australia, and then it scatters around from there. Zone Minder. I haven't seen that one in a while. Yeah. Yeah. See who's at. I can just pull it up if I see someone's at the door. Be like, go to the actually, who was at the door earlier? See if we have any deliveries. Just look at my front porch cam here. 9:15 is the last time. This is Tom leaving the house, and I came back in through the garage. So then if we filter for the garage cam, probably the one before this. Yeah, because the door was open. There's me coming home. I left for an hour today. Then I forgot something and went back around. Antenna shape and size matter a lot more. Yes, that is true. It's the shape and size that count when it comes to Wi-Fi. All the cameras are running PoE, yes. Yeah, Reolink cameras, Amcrest are okay. I'm gonna be doing a review of the surveillance station. So, yeah, lots of snow. What cameras are those? Let me see if it tells me the model numbers in here. I don't remember if it does or not. So if we go to the close for too many things open. Camera. Wait, I thought it. Does it say what kind of camera it is? They're Amcrest. So Amcrest, Reolink inside the garage, Amcrest everywhere else. Yep, they're all Amcrest cameras except for one Reolink. Amcrest and Amcrest. When I do my video review, I'll have all the models in there. Hikvision makes them, and specifically the one Amcrest on my porch is a nighttime camera with great color view night. It's like the Hikvision where it can see at night. It's really cool. I agree with that there. Put them on an IoT VLAN, lock them down. My camera network doesn't have internet access because it doesn't need it. I have a cam LAN I have set up. I have a video talking about my home firewall rules. So that's pfSense home firewall rules, and you can see how that's set up. In a scenario where you have a site needing more than 60 cameras, just Synology or UNVR, definitely not UNVR. Synology is more likely to be recommended over UNVR. So I've not tested the Amcrest doorbell, but they look cool. They look affordable too. Just curious, how often does LTS do larger network buildouts, like 2 or 3 tier architecture? A lot. We have an entire infrastructure team building things all the time. So there are, at any given moment, there's a ton of projects kind of moving along. So yes, we're building out stuff or working with internal IT teams to build something. We're not always doing them like by ourselves. A lot of times we're working, a lot of our customers are internal IT companies and IT teams where we help with a lot of that. So best way to remotely manage lots of pfSense firewalls, log into each one of them. You could use, you could set up VPNs if you wanted. You could, most of the time for us, we have access to the customer's equipment on the other side. So we use our remote access tools to get into them as needed. Create a guest network to put my cams on, but I have no idea how to add my cams to guest network. Well, that's going to have to do some network learning there, Mr. Cameron there. Mr. or Mrs. Cameron, J. Cameron. Don't want to make any assumptions. I have all kinds of videos on how to do networking. So, but I don't know, a lot of my videos start out a little bit more advanced. So I don't know where your level is, but don't worry. You can Google your way through or YouTube your way through most of it, because there's people who have the most basics of how to subnet. I don't cover that because someone asked me about that. Like, hey, Tom, why don't you make a video on like how a subnet works? I'm like, there's like a dozen or more videos that are popular and well done, and plenty more that aren't well done already on YouTube. I usually start on the more advanced side. So if you're, I just can't cover it all, so I don't have time to cover it all. But if you look around there, you'll find a lot of people that can cover some of those things for you, so you can build your networking knowledge up until you get a better understanding. TrueNAS 12.0 U8 is out. Seems to be the last update for the 12 series. I don't know if it's the last update for the 12 series. Maybe it's going to 13. They're not discontinuing it, for any wondering. It's just whether or not they're going to go to 13. That's kind of a developer question. I haven't looked at the roadmap to see if they updated it yet to say for sure the next one's going to be in 13. Any comments on the Office 365 price changes that'll happen next month? Soft cash on hand. So Microsoft cash on hand as of 2019, I think was 136 billion. My opinion is they're greedy and they want more money. They're jealous because other companies hit the trillion. Is it the trillion dollar mark? Microsoft wants to hit that mark. I don't know. They're just greedy. That's my thoughts on it. I don't really have any other thoughts on it at all. So, who is Amchrist? I don't have a map of all of them, but the crossover between all the names, yes, probably, maybe, I don't know. There's a big crossover between all the different models. That's for sure. How do I convince one of my clients to move from Exchange 2010? Once they get popped and their email gets hacked and they have a bunch of shells from the Exchange flaw, they'll call you. Tune asked question, with a 2x SSD mirror for Proxmox VM share storage with a probably not at all any meaningful benefit. It just helps with if you look for slog demystified, there's a TrueNAS write-up that explains what it is. Yes, they're still cheaper than Microsoft. Push people to cloud and prices go up. Pretty much. Yep. I learned part of the metaverse buzzword coined by Facebook used without a second thought. Will you ever do setup video Zabbix? Probably. That's one of the reasons I moved here, is so I could have the time in this new studio to focus on one project, because Zabbix is such a big one to do. I want to do an updated Zabbix video. It's extensive to do it. It's a big product and it's awesome. It takes a long time to get set up because there's a lot to it. So everything is going SaaS. That's just the way of things. And why not? And I think we're going to see food companies eventually jump on this bandwagon, because who doesn't want to sell burgers on a subscription? Like, you just subscribe to the burger subscription plan, and anytime you want to go, let's say Burger King, because they're close to me, every time you want to go to Burger King, I can get a burger. Unlimited burgers for this much a month. And they're playing the long game. It's like a gym membership. They know you're not going to go all the time. And they know at some point you'll get sick of burgers, but you'll forget to cancel subscription, and then you'll have burgers as a service. So as a service is exactly how a lot of these things are going, because it's profitable for them. I actually predict that, the cloud is being sold as a solution because it's being sold as a solution, being sold, a salesperson selling it as a solution. There's a lot more times when I think we're going to see, and I know we're seeing this a lot. We're seeing people go, we should probably build our own or have more of our own things on-prem and things like that. So, oh wait, Taco Bell. I am disconnected. So I did not know Taco Bell was doing this. So you can get tacos on subscription. I should have used tacos as a service. Sounds actually better than burgers as a service, because I prefer tacos over burgers. Hate me in the comments, feel free. But tacos are superior food form than burgers. HelloFresh is, yeah, but you have to assemble the meal. I don't want to assemble it. If you're going to bring a meal to my house, I have to assemble it. I'm old school. My wife does DoorDash. My wife does the shopping thing where people bring you food and stuff. I'm like, no, I go to the store and I buy what I want. So, yes, unsubscribe as a service to disrupt the market. There we go. Fajitas as a service. I do like fajita. I like, I don't eat that much Mexican food, but I like tacos. Probably my inclination towards Mexican and Spanish foods is the spice. Not to say that they're the only spicy foods. I love me some Indian food that has to be at a level that most people won't eat. And Thai food as well. So I don't know. I'm on the food. Now I'm hungry. I got to eat soon. Actually, fun fact. One of the things I can do now if I really wanted to go upstairs and eat, I could probably transfer the live stream to my phone, and I could just go upstairs and eat because I have a kitchen. This is my house. Oh, Lawrence Systems as a service. I like this. I don't even know what I'd sell as a service. I do love tacos, maybe not from Taco Bell. Look, let's just be honest. Taco Bell is cheap food, not exactly Mexican. It is Mexican shaped food. It is not necessarily Mexican spice food. Yes. The soundproofing, it's just if you search for hexagon soundproofing on Amazon, you'll find it. They're for those of you, and you can Google this, you'll know that hexagons are the bestagons. Google that phrase, and you'll understand why hexagons are the superior way to cover a plane. Coffee as a service. I think they offer that with Panera has a coffee subscription. Yes, I got to do. I might wait till pfSense 2.6 comes out to do my in-depth one. I'm crossing my fingers, thinking it's going to be sooner than later that pfSense 2.6 will be out. It'll be this year. Don't know when. Tacos on a VLAN, maybe. One form of SaaS on foods delivery apps. Yeah, all those food delivery apps, man. I'm really, hey, look. It finally, see, it hadn't done it in an hour. Nothing changed. Nothing came on. Nothing went off. It just decided now to give you guys the no signal. I got nothing. This has been the hardest problem to figure out. It has aggravated me now for 2 days. I set this up. I moved all my studio and built the equipment all out in 2 days. And then I turned the cameras on the end of the second day. They worked. Then the third day, this stupid bug came up. I got nothing. Hey, my wife got on. She wants tacos for dinner too. Nope, I'm making stir fry for dinner because I have stir fry. I already bought it from the place. So stir fry today. The sound doesn't go through the camera. And by the way, there's more than one camera. The other camera keeps working. So it's only this one card doing it. So it's kind of driving me crazy. Probably YouTube live streaming feature, time to get Owncast. No, it's completely the camera. It does this when I'm recording locally too, so. EMI for microwave. It only affects one card though. Yes. Nonetheless, I should probably wind this down. I've been going for an hour and 27 minutes. Actually, the nice thing is I usually want to leave the office and go home. And now I'm just at my office at home with the new studio. So it's not as big of a deal. I can stay down here pretty long, but actually my water's running out. And with water in, water has to leave. So I needed that soon. No, I don't look any better in 4K. No one's here because they want to see Tom in 4K. Well, if you are, you're going to be disappointed. I don't look any better in 4K. So low on my list of things I want to do is go to buy a 4K camera. I really like the studio camera I have. I like the lenses I have with it. So I love it. Focuses fast. It's got nice bokeh. Everything about it makes me happy. The color science is good. The camera just has been a workhorse. It's an old camera, by the way. If it dies, I'll buy 4K. It hasn't died. So here we are. And I don't think it'll die. So I could be wrong. Built the FreeNAS 11.1 shared dataset uses active dataset uses 3 datasets. How do you get dataset back into one complete? I really don't understand that question. Maybe post that in my forums. I don't understand what your goal is. Have you tried the Herman Miller body chair? No. I don't know. Herman Miller, I used to have a really nice one and it broke on me and I never got another one. But my Herman Miller chair did last me the longest. Rumors have it Ubiquiti are releasing UISP routers to take on. We'll see. Anyways, any rapid fire questions before we wind this down? We'll give it a few more minutes. Any final Q&A for me before we wind down the live stream? Hey, look, there's more Blinky. It's doing it more. It's telling me I need to go fiddle with things and try to figure out why it does that, or just get rid of the card. I don't know. It's driving me nuts. Maybe I'll put the card to my other computer. I don't know. I don't have an easy solution for this one. I am in EST. Detroit is in Eastern Standard Time. What do you think of the Netgear managed access points? I think they need the Netgear cloud. I don't trust the Netgear cloud, so pass on that. TrueNAS BSD, PFS BSD, Mac OS. No, never been interested in using a Mac. Yeah, I'm going to set up a different, I may flip them around because I have another camera. My Sony camera goes into it. But I'm trying to remember why. It seems like the Sony camera works in either card, but for some reason, I got to remember, there was something about when I set these up that I had them set this way, but I might just flip them because if I flip the Sony camera into the other card, I wonder if I can show you what the Sony camera is. This is going to probably be weird, but like here's the Sony camera. So maybe that would work because this camera never cuts out. Maybe I'll switch the cards around. I don't know. It's a challenge to figure it out. Card or the extra cable? I replaced the cables already, so I can rule the cables out. If I were to get another laptop, I would love to buy a framework one. I just don't have a need to buy a laptop anytime soon because my laptop's not old. I didn't want to buy one just to have it. If I bought it, I'd want to use it. I wouldn't use it. So, do you have a spare cable for your camera? Yeah, I swapped the entire cable. I even bypassed the field monitor that I have. So, yeah, I knew the dual audio thing. I figured that sounded weird. Final question. Have you deployed a UISP solution edge router gateway manages clients MAC address and disconnects on payments? Nope. We don't do any UISP stuff here. Yeah, there we go. Trade Linus, a framework laptop for a NAS device for sure. Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi is 6 even out? Is there even that many devices out there? So I don't really have an opinion on it. Hey, thank you very much, Dustin. HDMI clock. Now, Corey's getting detailed here. This could be an interesting one. And I do have the ability to change that. And maybe it is. It's like some type of synchronization. So there's a synchronization to the way it does the screen, and there is a clock timing for the way they work. I mean, there's actually adjustments on the camera. This is a really advanced camera, so it does have that as an option. I'm using a Canon Studio C100 Studio camera. So not overheating. One, I touched the card. It's not hot at all. Two, The other weird thing is it does it when I first turned it on, did it a bunch of times, and then it stopped. And I just turned everything on when it started doing it. So I don't really think it's a heat issue. And it's actually cold where it is. It's only, I mean, I say cold. It's 65 degrees Fahrenheit around the computer. So it's, yeah. Ooh, how much time do you spend on tech, smart home in your personal life? 0. You'll find me offline and AFK very far from technology when I'm not. I can't decide what's working and what's learning, but no, you'll find me playing with like old motorcycles or something, like my 1960 or 1972 Honda. That's so no, personal life, I'm not a big yeah, I don't do a lot of personal technology stuff. It certainly sounds like a cable issue, except for there's nothing touching any cables. It just drops. And it's dropped probably, 5 times. We're an hour and 35 minutes in, maybe 5 or 6 times in an hour and 35 minutes, it blinks out. And it always comes immediately back. You don't have to touch anything. It goes in and out. So are you sure it's a problem with the card and not with the camera? Yes, the camera feeds a field cam. And because it feeds the field cam, it absolutely doesn't seem to have it, like the field cam never drops. Yeah, I've swapped. I even bypassed. I ran a cable directly from the camera right into the system, and it still managed to drop. Just a weird. Yeah. Check the timing. Yeah. No, actually, that's actually a good point. Send the cable to LTT for testing. Wendell from Level 1 Tech did a great video on his channel. He bought a really expensive tester for testing cables. So there's Wendell's who I would mail a cable to for testing. He's got the big fancy tester. So his video on that's great. If you want to have a better understanding of the signaling in DisplayPort cables, watch Wendell's video. He does a deep dive into it. It's great. I think I shared it out on my Twitter, but it's not hard to find. It's Wendell's deep dive into DisplayPort, and he shows the expensive testing. He bought like $15,000 worth of test equipment to do this. I think that's what it was. It was something. It was a really expensive device. I'm not going to buy one. If you seems to be 2 streams of tech person: those who embrace the automation, Amazon, Google running their lives, and those who live tech. It's the security in me. So I don't, it's the same reason like there's so light switches in my house. I don't like too far of automation. And I'm using, as someone pointed out, Home Assistant in the background. I like everything to be self-contained, self-hosted, does not even need internet to control any of the devices. So all the functionality I have in here is all controlled from things I can host and manage, because that's how I feel about computer security. So I don't like many outside things. I don't use any Google Home automation or any outside cloud automation services. So yeah, that's just the security person in me. Yeah, we could look at that. See if the great idea is to see if it is in there, but I think it feels more random, but I can look at timestamps. Glitch in a matrix. You won't be able to fix it. Yes, I'm fading in and out of existence. What do you use for smart switches with HA? I don't have any. I mean, I'm trying to remember the name of the ones I'm using. They're by a company. When I put the list together, because I can't see the name of the product. They're Z-Wave. I can tell you that. They're Z-Wave. They're from Amazon. That's yes. I like the Z-Wave stuff. I don't like the Wi-Fi switches as much as I do the Z-Wave. Yeah, you can build a lot of automation around Home Assistant. So yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of the company that makes my light strip and things like that. Let's see if I can find them. There's a couple companies that make them. When I do my automation tour, I'll make a list and make sure I put those in there so I can find them all. I don't want to tell you the wrong ones. We have a few of them at the office now. We use for turning things. We have the Home Assistant at my office, and we have the Home Assistant here at my house for mostly just controlling all the studio stuff. My studio is on single click, so I hit a button in Home Assistant, slide the little slider, and all the studio gear powers up. So that's also so I can sit here, hit a button, and power off all the studio gear, so I don't have to get up to do any of it. The things I need to build for automation is Jay's got this set up on his, is the Wake on LAN. So I can turn off the studio computer, but then use Home Assistant to turn on the gear, then use Wake on LAN to kick off the turning on of the studio computer. And then if you're not familiar, I actually use a tool called Barrier. That's how I control. I'm on, you're only seeing one keyboard and mouse here, but I'm able to use the studio computer, which is a separate computer than my computer, and Barrier facilitates all that. I need to do a video on that too. Barrier is a really great product for that. That's the one. The Envelli, that's those ones are really cool. That's what my power strip is by, the Envelli. So I actually think there is a big market for this because the building management systems are, God, they're awful. Any of the ones we worked with, one of them had this Flash interface. Yes, a Flash interface to manage some of the HVAC stuff. I'm like, Flash? Really? This is awful. And it was older, but it wasn't ancient. It was, at least since Flash has been, it was installed like 4 or 5 years ago. It wasn't installed 20 years ago. Some of them have awful Java interfaces. I think the home automation stuff through Home Assistant is going to really play a bigger role in the future. Like, there's going to be a lot more product built around it. I think that it's definitely where it's going. What is better suited for dual WAN failover for site-to-site VPN, WireGuard, Ipsec, or Openvpn? Probably WireGuard. WireGuard builds tunnels faster. I like WireGuard a lot. It works really, really well on pfSense. So go WireGuard. Runner-up is Ipsec. Openvpn will work too, though. All of them. Openvpn has a specification for. It's not in pfSense, but I think you can add it to the config file manually. You can set up a failover in Openvpn. I've never tried doing, because normally you just do it with DNS and have more than one route that you try, but I'm not going to get too off topic on that. All right. Barrier. All right, I said it. So I'll put a link on there for people. Put this up, throw it in the thing here as well. This is the Barrier. Eliminate the barrier between your machines. Find releases for Windows, Mac, OS. So I'm on Linux. My studio computer records with Windows because that's the most compatible for all the devices I have. In the least amount of headache, oddly enough. I'm a big open source guy, but I'm also realistic. I need a studio computer that works with all the different inputs, including my Stream Deck. And Stream Deck doesn't write for Linux. But Barrier is a really cool tool for you. I type here, my system then can push that information over to this computer. And you can have many computers on it. It's actually really a cool piece of software. I might do a review of Barrier. It's really simple to set up, really simple to use, and cross-platform, Windows, Mac, and Linux. So you can have your, like I do, your main Linux machine, but then swing on over and now you have mouse and keyboard access on the other ones. So I really like it for doing that. Now, video, obviously, it has to be on there, but if you have a laptop sitting here, I can just swing my mouse over, use the same keyboard and mouse, or in the studio computer. That just keeps me from having to have a keyboard in here for my studio computer. Great tool for doing that. Yes, Veronica Explains did an amazing job on it. And by the way, if you haven't followed Veronica Explains, follow Veronica Explains. She's a up-and-coming YouTuber who's got a lot of love for Linux and some good, fun presentation too. Also a love for old printers. So I definitely recommend just Google Veronica Explains. I use my mouse without borders, found it buggy, delayed here. Barrier's not buggy at all. It is dead simple to use. I'm impressed with how easy it is to use. And yeah, Veronica Explains has a great video on it, where she shows you how to set it up, how to configure it, and explains it. It does use full encryption and everything else too. So I'm obviously very security conscious. So I'm thinking a lot about any tool that specifically is made for logging your keyboard. You better really understand the security before you have something that takes your keystrokes and sends them somewhere. You better really understand how that works. And yes, Barrier is open source. Barrier has a good way they handle security. I think it's a great tool. So, all right. With that note, thank you everyone for joining. There's still a few hundred of you on here, so smash the like button before you leave. Much appreciated. And I look forward to doing more live streams in my studio here at my house, where I can do these some people say they wish I did them later. Yes, I can do them later as well, because, I'm at home and we'll have a beer with Tom type of podcast thing going or something like that. So, because I can do that too. I don't have to drive home. I just have to be able to go back up the stairs. So thank you everyone for joining. See you next time. And I'm even thinking about adding a Saturday stream to my lineup as well. I know some people are at work, and Saturdays are cool. And message me on Twitter or DM me if you have some thoughts. Tag me in it if you have thoughts on Saturday streams or something like that, or maybe Sunday streams. Like I said, I'm excited with the new studio. I loved all the encouragement I have from all of you, and looking forward to doing more fun things in the future. All right, and thanks.